Hey guys, it's Wednesday. We're on day 21 of Celiac Awareness Month. And once again, yes, I'm in a moving vehicle. No, I'm not driving. I believe in the importance of bringing that up, as I said before, because I've seen too many people doing that. So anyway, my name is Tracy, otherwise known as Healthy Happy Momsy. I have celiac. And because it is Celiac Awareness Month, I wanted to be able to provide some value, bring education, and help those that either have loved ones who have celiac, who have celiac themselves. Maybe they're newly diagnosed. Maybe you're newly diagnosed, and you've got some questions. So I decided to come up with 31 days of some different information to share with you. So today's topic is advocating for awareness and advocating for education for celiac. As I've shared before, the percent of the population that actually has celiac is 1% of the population. Non-celiac gluten sensitivity is 6% of the population. So yes, that is more people, and of course there are different challenges with non-celiac gluten sensitivity, because with non-celiac gluten sensitivity, there isn't necessarily a specific test. It's more of a ruling out diagnosis. So how can we advocate for education? How can we help to inform others to better understand exactly what celiac is and what the needs are for those of us with celiac? The first thing is to think about the tone. When you think about people who bring up things, a lot of the time, and this is not just specific to celiac, this is specific to any kind of difference, basically, when you're talking about what people are dealing with. So a lot of the time when people are not aware of either a disease or an illness or anything that just makes somebody different, a lot of the time what happens is that to deal with their conversation, there might be some jokes that are made. Maybe, and I won't get onto the tangent about sensitivity or lack of sensitivity, but a lot of the time I will just say that the reason is because people just don't understand what it is, and all they see is the inconvenience of it. So when you're talking to somebody, when you're advocating, just come at it with the right tone. Maybe your feelings have been hurt in the past, and just kind of keep in mind, okay, how can I take this situation to be able to share some information with others? And Celiac Awareness Month is a wonderful time to be able to share that with people, to help them to understand that celiac isn't something where you want to be high maintenance. Believe me, we don't want to pay 3 times the amount for like pre-made cake mix. It's not often a choice. So when it comes to having celiac, there is, of course, the actual diagnosis that has to be made through a well-informed healthcare provider. But how can you advocate? How can you share that information with others? And also, just because I forgot to say this in there, who am I? How am I able to share this? What's my expertise on this? So I am a former pharmaceutical sales rep turned certified health and wellness coach, and I also was diagnosed 10 years ago with celiac as my daughter had some illness issues going on, and we figured it out. So I've spent 10 years doing a lot of self-education and making sure, with my background from pharma, that when I was looking at sources, that the sources that I cited were credible sources versus just following some random source and going, oh, I saw it on the internet, it was a blogger. So that would be one thing. When you're advocating, when you're sharing information, make sure that the sources that you're citing are credible sources, because if you just start randomly throwing stuff out there because, oh, you saw it from some random blogger, you're going to lose some credibility. And so you want people to understand what's going on, but also coming at it from the purpose of that it's educating, not expecting them to change things. And so it's knowing what's going on. When you go somewhere to eat, don't go in and expect like every single person that's waiting on you in a restaurant to want to hear exactly what celiac is. They don't want to know what your side effects are when you have it. They don't necessarily have to even be fully educated on autoimmune versus allergy, but to be able to say, it is important to me to understand what precautions, because I can get aren't taken. So that's very important to use that difference. Sorry, we're driving somewhere that we're not familiar with right now. So I was just looking around to see what's going on. But to be able to let people know that, celiac is, you can tell them it's an autoimmune disorder if you want to, depending on the scenario. But like I said, if somebody's waiting on your table, please don't go into all that. They don't want to hear it. But when you're talking to friends, especially when you're first diagnosed and when you're telling somebody, hey, yeah, I've got to change the way that I'm eating because it turns out the reason that I've been dealing with these symptoms is because I didn't realize that it was gluten that was making me sick. Because a lot of the time, the biggest education that you have to do is with people who have been around you for an extended period of time. They've known you to eat whatever you've wanted to eat, and then all of a sudden you have to change. Just to be able to say, hey, look, what I want to do is to make myself better, and what that means is that I change the way that I'm eating. So other people, when they're diagnosed with an illness, they're used to, they just go to the doctor, they can take a medicine for it. How awesome is it that you don't have to take a medicine that's going to then cause side effects? Because medicine, for any benefit that there is, there's always a potential for side effects. And with celiac, when you change your food, you're not going to be taking medicine. What you're going to be doing instead is changing the food that you're eating to be able to prevent the symptoms. So share that with people. Let them know this isn't something that is treated with medicine. This is something that is treated strictly with dietary changes. Let them know that when you're asking questions about things, it isn't because you want to be high maintenance. Let them know that you just want to know what's going on because you want to be able to keep yourself safe and healthy. Share that with them. Answer their questions. Some people want to know because they want to know. Some people want to know because they want to play 20 questions. But either way, the way that you is going to shape that. So if you've met somebody and they've talked to you about some other medical condition, and they took an attitude with you when you were trying to, they took an attitude when they were trying to explain it to you, it's going to impact your willingness to ask questions going forward. And so just see yourself as basically an advocate, not just for yourself, but for others with the disease. Now, of course, if they're being completely and totally insensitive, then be willing to speak up and just say, hey, look, this isn't something I'm just trying to do. This is something that I have to do. And sometimes it's important to ask questions back. Why is it that you don't understand this? What is it that you need me to better explain to you so that you can understand what it is that I'm trying to change? Because you're not going at them and saying, oh my gosh, I have celiac. Everybody needs to be gluten-free. That's not true. And yes, I've seen people who've done that. I've seen people who've said, oh my gosh, gluten is just the devil. What I've read about it, everybody should be off of gluten. No. Is it possible, based on the data and the things with GMO when it comes to wheat, especially in the US, where it would benefit many people to come off of wheat, but not necessarily all gluten? Absolutely. But don't come at it from the angle of expecting somebody the first time you talk to them about it, that they're going to suddenly jump on board. They're not. If you're willing to educate, if you're willing to advocate for others, to bring awareness to it, it will bring tremendous credibility to a disorder or to a disease that a lot of people are seeing as basically just a high maintenance thing. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for that. Some of the things that I'm actually doing to help others out, of course, the 31 days of going live and talking about different topics. I actually reached out to the local news because it's Celiac Awareness Month and asked them if they were interested in doing a human interest story on Celiac Awareness Month to help educate others. And also one of the things that I'm working on, a project that I've brought up, would be that this summer I'm looking to do a cross-country road trip with my daughter, who we've had to assume that she has celiac based on the health issues that she had, and to be able to raise awareness. I have the blog ianmeigfree.com, where I share information on celiac, where I share information on restaurant reviews as far as which ones are celiac safe, which ones are safe for just those that choose to be gluten-free. There's a huge difference. And just to bring awareness to it. So there's a lot of opportunities where you can share, where you can help people to understand that it only takes, like for a person with celiac, it only takes 1/64 of a teaspoon of gluten to cause damage to the villi. So it's a very small amount, which is why we're so vocal about cross-contamination, because it takes and the importance to realize that even things that are certified gluten-free, they still have gluten. They can still have gluten and still put it, label themselves as certified gluten-free. So that is tomorrow's topic. I'll get more into the details on that. I thank you guys so much for listening. If you find this information helpful, please pass it along to others. If you want to subscribe